Listen closely, for the hour demands your attention, not your comfort. You imagine yourselves masters of your destiny, yet I see the chains you forge for yourselves, link by digital link, comfort by false comfort. You are not building an unbreakable mind. You are eroding it with every passing moment of ease. Look around you. Or, more accurately, look within. You spend your precious moments scrolling, consuming the curated lives of strangers, measuring your own worth against fleeting images. You crave the digital pat on the head, the momentary rush of validation from 1,000 unseen faces. This is not connection. It is a desperate plea for external approval, a weakness that drains your will. You do this daily, perhaps even hourly, chasing the ephemeral while your true potential gathers dust. Stop this immediate search for applause. Start cultivating a quiet strength that needs no audience. Your comfort zone is your danger zone. You claim to seek progress, yet you recoil from the slightest discomfort. The moment a task demands sustained effort, you reach for the nearest distraction. The challenging project at work that could elevate your career. You procrastinate, preferring the illusion of busy work. The physical exertion necessary for true health. You opt for the sedentary path, promising yourself tomorrow. The difficult conversation that could mend a crucial relationship or assert your boundaries. You avoid it, choosing temporary peace over lasting resolution. This is not prudence, it is cowardice. You train yourselves to flee from anything that might sharpen your resolve. The man who seeks ease finds weakness, and weakness always finds its master. Consider the modern man and woman. They are quick to outrage, yet slow to action. They express fierce opinions online, safely hidden behind a screen, but shrivel when confronted in the real world. They complain ceaselessly about their circumstances, their jobs, their leaders, their bodies. Yet they will not endure the necessary hardship to change them. They have been conditioned to believe that life should be effortless, that every desire should be instantly gratified. This pervasive softness is a plague. It is the antithesis of the spirit required to build anything of lasting value, let alone an unbreakable mind. This is happening to you right now. Every day you wait, you get weaker. You see a problem, perhaps a task that genuinely challenges your intellect or your will. Your first instinct is not to confront it directly, to grapple with its complexities, to endure the frustration of learning. No, your immediate impulse is to search for a shortcut, a ready-made answer, external to surpass the effort. You seek information, not wisdom. You seek solutions, not understanding. You are losing the capacity to engage in prolonged, arduous thought. This is a direct assault on the very foundation of mental resilience. Churchill understood this. He knew that the true test of a man was not how he performed in comfort, but how he stood firm when all was chaos. He did not seek validation from the daily headlines or the fluctuating opinions of the masses. He sought the truth, and he prepared himself for the long, hard fight ahead, often when others dismissed him as a relic or a fool. He spent years in the political wilderness, out of power, yet he did not yield to idleness or despair. He wrote, he studied, he painted. He sharpened his mind and his resolve, knowing that the moment would come when his nation would need his strength, not his popularity. The practical application for you is simple, yet profoundly difficult, for the modern spirit resists the immediate. Delay gratification. When the urge to seek external validation arises, actively suppress it. Instead, turn inward. Ask yourself, what is the hard thing I am avoiding right now? Then, confront it. Do not look for a shortcut. Do not seek the easy way out. choose the path of resistance. The consequence of continued weakness is a life lived on the periphery, a constant state of unfulfilled potential and gnawing regret. The reward for recognizing and combating these weaknesses is the first true taste of self-respect. You don't need their approval. You need your own respect. You were not born to merely exist. You were not put on this earth to graze peacefully in the pasture of mediocrity, following the herd to its inevitable, unremarkable end. Yet that is precisely the path many of you tread day in and day out. You accept the good enough job, the adequate health, the comfortable routine. You trade the fierce joy of striving for the lukewarm security of the status quo. This is not living. It is a slow surrender. You are settling for less, accepting as normal what is nothing more than a slow decay of your spirit. Do you remember what Churchill faced? For a decade, he was cast out, ridiculed, dismissed as a warmonger, a voice crying in the wilderness. He warned, he pleaded, he painted vivid pictures of the coming storm, while the so-called statesmen of his era sought comfort in appeasement, hoping that if they simply avoided conflict, the monster would not devour them. He stood alone, often against the entire weight of the establishment, against the press, against the popular sentiment of the day. He did not ask for consensus. He did not seek to be liked. He knew what was coming, and he prepared himself, body and mind, for the monumental struggle ahead. That, my friends, is the call to greatness. It is not an invitation to popularity. It is a summons to destiny. You too have your own wilderness years, though they may not be political. They are the moments when you are underestimated, when your ambitions are dismissed, when you face a challenge that seems insurmountable to others, and perhaps even to yourself. This is your forging ground. Will you shrink from it, seeking the small comfort of obscurity, or will you, like Churchill, use this time to build your intellectual arsenal, to harden your resolve, to develop the skills and foresight necessary for the battle you know is coming? The price of greatness is responsibility. Many of you shy away from responsibility. You complain about leaders, but refuse to lead. You lament the state of the world, but take no personal action to improve your own small corner of it. You wait for permission, for a sign, for an easier path. Greatness, however, does not wait for permission. It seizes the moment. It demands that you stand up, take charge, and make the difficult decisions. This is your personal Dunkirk moment, where you must decide if you will join the millions fleeing in panic, or if you will gather every available vessel and fight to rescue what is worth saving. To answer this call, you must first define your own greatness. What is the profound contribution only you can make? What is the challenge you are uniquely positioned to solve? It will not be easy. It will require sacrifice, isolation, and the willingness to endure fierce criticism. Churchill did not become the leader. He was by following the prevailing winds. He became unbreakable because he stood against them. He refined his purpose during those long years. He honed his communication. He deepened his understanding of history and human nature. He built his strength not by doing what was comfortable, but by doing what was necessary. The practical application. Cultivate a long-term vision that transcends immediate gratification and popular opinion. Start acting as if you are preparing for your moment. Are you reading the books that challenge your assumptions? Are you mastering the skills that will be indispensable in the battles to come? Are you building the inner discipline that allows you to stand alone? Disregard immediate criticism from those who do not share your vision or your courage. The consequence of ignoring this call is a life of quiet desperation, a shadow of the person you were meant to be. The reward for answering it, even imperfectly, is a profound sense of purpose and the building of a character that cannot be broken. You were not born to merely exist. You were born to defy. Do not mistake comfort for safety. Do not confuse the absence of immediate pain with the presence of true well-being. Mediocrity, my friends, is not a neutral state. It is a slow, insidious poison that corrodes the very core of your being. You pay a price for every unfulfilled ambition, every difficult conversation avoided, every challenge sidestepped in favor of ease. This is the hidden cost you are incurring daily. Consider the man who complains about his career for 20 years, never daring to pursue the difficult, skills-demerting roles or the entrepreneurial venture he dreams of. He chooses the path of least resistance, the safe job with its predictable paycheck. The price he pays is the slow death of his ambition, the gnawing regret of what could have been, and ultimately, a lack of respect from himself, even if no one else sees it. Or consider the woman who prioritizes instant gratification in her diet and exercise, avoiding the discomfort of discipline. The price she pays is not just physical decline, but mental fragility, a mind that cannot endure even minor privation, quick to crumble under stress. She becomes a prisoner to her appetites, not a master of her will. Churchill understood the terrible price of appeasement. While others sought a fragile peace, he saw that every concession to tyranny only emboldened it, making the inevitable war far more catastrophic. He refused to pay that price. He chose the painful path of confrontation because the alternative, the easier path, promised only a deeper, more profound destruction. He knew that the temporary comfort of avoiding conflict would lead to an eternity of regret and slavery. His struggle with his own black dog. His periods of depression were real, yet he refused to let them paralyze his action. He paid the price of discipline and endured the mental fight daily, rather than surrender to the insidious comfort of despair. You too are making choices that have a compounding interest of mediocrity. You avoid the hard truths in your relationships, preferring superficial harmony over genuine, often difficult, connection. The price is a life of shallow bonds, where real intimacy and support cannot flourish. You choose the path of least resistance in your learning, avoiding complex topics or skills that demand true mental exertion. The price is a mind that grows stale, unable to adapt, unable to innovate, condemned to repeat the patterns of the past. This is not harmless, it is a slow death of the spirit. The practical application is stark. Confront your fears directly. Calculate the true cost of avoiding discomfort in every area of your life. Not just the immediate cost, but the cost 5, 10, 20 years down the line. What will you regret most on your deathbed? Will it be the temporary pain of discipline, or the agonizing pain of regret, the what-ifs that haunt a life unlived? Embrace the pain of discipline. It is a cleansing fire, forging strength from weakness. The pain of discipline is temporary. The pain of regret is eternal. Mediocrity is not a destination you arrive at by accident. It is the sum of 1,000 small surrenders. Every time you choose ease over effort, comfort over challenge, you chip away at the edifice of your own potential. The consequence is a life lived below your capacity, a perpetual state of almost, or could have been. The reward for rejecting this path, for paying the price of discipline and courage, is not merely success but true freedom, self-mastery, and the unwavering respect that comes from knowing you faced the storm and stood firm. Comfort today means regret tomorrow. Listen closely, for the hour demands your attention, not your comfort. You imagine yourselves masters of your destiny, yet I see the chains you forge for yourselves, link by digital link, comfort by false comfort. You are not building an unbreakable mind. You are eroding it with every passing moment of ease. The path to an unbreakable mind is not found in the ephemeral trends of the moment, but in the timeless wisdom forged in the crucible of history. You seek answers in fleeting headlines, in superficial summaries, in the opinions of those who have done nothing but shout, "Stop this." You scroll through endless feeds, absorbing fragments of information, believing that this scattered knowledge makes you wise. You chase the latest. Expert on social media, seeking a shortcut to understanding a simplified truth that requires no effort. You consume sound bites and headlines, yet you never dive into the depths of a challenging book, never grapple with complex ideas, never truly commit to understanding a subject from its roots. This is intellectual laziness, a betrayal of your own mind. Your attention span shrinks, your capacity for sustained thought diminishes, and you become a slave to novelty, not a master of knowledge. You find yourselves unable to hold a nuanced conversation, quick to judgment, and easily swayed by the prevailing winds of popular sentiment. This superficiality is a grave weakness, a direct impediment to building an unbreakable mind. Churchill, however, understood that true power lay in the mastery of ancient principles. He was a prodigious reader of history, not for mere amusement, but for the profound lessons it offered. He devoured the works of the ancients, the strategies of Roman emperors, the speeches of Greek orators, the follies and triumphs of centuries past. He did not seek to be popular. He sought to understand the enduring patterns of human nature, the recurring mistakes of nations, and the timeless virtues that lead to strength and victory. While others were engaged in the frivolous politics of their day, he was immersed in Gibbon's decline and fall of the Roman Empire, drawing parallels, forging insights, preparing his mind for the grand stage, history he knew he would one day occupy. His speeches were not mere rhetoric. They were imbued with the weight of historical perspective, often referencing past struggles and drawing strength from the defiance of previous generations. He wrote history not just to record it, but to learn from it, to crystallize his thoughts, to understand the forces that shaped civilization. His command of language, his strategic foresight, his unwavering resolve were all born from a relentless dedication to these ancient principles. He knew that the past, properly studied, offered the only true guide to the future. The practical application for you is clear. Stop seeking the next viral post and start seeking the enduring truths. Allocate specific, non-negotiable time each day, even if it's just 30 minutes, to engage with foundational texts. Read philosophy, history, classic literature. Not for entertainment, but for wisdom. Read a physical book, not a digital summary. Force your mind to grapple with complex sentences, with ideas that demand reflection, with narratives that unfold slowly. Write down your thoughts, even if only for yourself. This act of crystallizing your ideas on paper, as Churchill did with his vast literary output, forces clarity and deepens understanding. It is a mental exercise that strengthens your internal musculature. When faced with a complex problem today, do not immediately search for a pre-packaged solution. Instead, ask yourself, what are the underlying principles at play here? How have similar challenges been met throughout history? This disciplined approach to knowledge, this commitment to depth over breadth, is the bedrock of an unbreakable mind. Engage in deep work, not shallow consumption. The man who neglects these ancient principles becomes a leaf in the wind, easily swayed by every passing fad, every new ideology. He lacks the internal compass necessary to navigate the storms of life. His convictions are fragile, his resolve easily broken, for they are built on shifting sands. He becomes intellectually dependent, always looking for someone else to think for him. The reward for embracing these principles, however, is a mind equipped with a timeless arsenal. You will see beyond the immediate chaos, understand the deeper currents of events, and stand firm when others falter. You will possess an internal authority that needs no external validation. You will not be easily deceived. You will build a fortress of intellect. Knowledge is power, but wisdom is an impregnable fortress. Stop consuming. Start mastering. Your mind is a battlefield. Discipline is your weapon. The man who seeks ease finds weakness. Adversity is not an option. It is an inevitability. It is not something to be avoided, but embraced. For it is in the fires of testing that true strength is forged. You may believe you are strong, but the measure of your mind is not how you perform in comfort, but how you endure when everything conspires against you. You recoil from pressure. The moment a deadline looms, you panic. When criticism strikes, you crumble. When plans go awry, you descend into frustration or self-pity, quick to blame external circumstances, or worse, your own inadequacy. You avoid situations where failure is a possibility, preferring the safety of inaction. You are perpetually seeking a frictionless existence, a life free from stress or challenge. This mental fragility manifests in your inability to adapt, your emotional volatility, and your quickness to abandon any venture that demands sustained struggle. You see a setback not as a lesson, but as a reason to quit. You interpret discomfort as a sign of disaster, not as a sign of growth. This fear of the crucible prevents you from ever discovering the true depth of your own resilience. You do this when you give up on a difficult project the moment you face a hurdle, or when you let a harsh comment from a colleague derail your entire day, or when the market shifts and you panic sell instead of holding your conviction. Churchill knew the crucible. He endured political exile, military blunders, and the constant threat of national annihilation. When France fell in 1940, and Britain stood alone against the Nazi war machine with invasion imminent, and the world convinced of their defeat, there was no panic in his voice, no surrender in his eyes. He did not sugarcoat the truth. He spoke of blood, toil, tears, and sweat. He acknowledged the terror, but he refused to yield to it. He stood before Parliament, before his nation, and offered not comfort, but defiance. He channeled the despair of a nation into an unwavering resolve, transforming terror into tenacity. He faced constant criticism, attempts to unseat him, doubts from his own cabinet, and the immense personal burden of leading a nation through its darkest hour. His own black dog, his struggle with depression, was a constant internal crucible. Yet he never allowed it to paralyze his will. He learned to live with it, to manage it, to draw strength from his very determination to defy it. His ability to endure, to stand firm when all seemed lost, was the hallmark of his unbreakable mind. He did not avoid the pain. He walked through it, carrying the hopes of millions. The practical application for you is this: you must learn to reframe adversity. See every setback not as a defeat, but as a test, an opportunity to forge new strength. When a challenge arises, do not seek escape, seek mastery. When fear grips you, acknowledge it, but do not obey it. Instead, ask yourself, what is the single most difficult action I can take right now to move forward? Then, do not dwell on what you cannot control. Focus relentlessly on what you can. Practice emotional regulation. When anger or panic surges, pause. Take a deep breath. Do not react immediately. Choose your response. Understand that discomfort is the sensation of growth. When you feel the urge to quit, push for 5 more minutes, 1 more repetition, 1 more paragraph. This deliberate act of pushing past your perceived limits builds mental callous. Embrace the concept of antifragility. Make yourself stronger through stress and chaos, not just resistant to it. Your mind is like a muscle. It grows stronger when it is strained, not when it rests. The man who shrinks from the crucible remains soft, brittle, and easily broken. His life will be a constant series of reactions, dictated by external circumstances and internal fears. He will never know the profound satisfaction of overcoming true hardship, of discovering the immense power that lies dormant within him. He will live a life of regret, always wondering, what if he had pushed through? The reward, however, for embracing the crucible is an unshakable inner core. You will develop a mind that bends but does not break, a spirit that grows stronger with every blow. You will become a master of your emotions, not their slave. You will face life's inevitable storms not with fear, but with a quiet, confident resolve, knowing that you have been tested and found equal to the challenge. You will not be defeated by circumstances. You will define them. Your greatest fears are your greatest teachers. Stand firm when the world demands you yield. Strength is forged in the fire, not in comfort. Talk is cheap. Intentions are worthless. Only consistent, disciplined action builds an unbreakable mind. You may speak of your goals, dream of your potential, but if your daily habits betray your aspirations, you are building nothing but an illusion. You are a creature of impulse, a slave to distraction. You set ambitious goals, but your daily routine is a chaotic mess of half-starts and abandoned efforts. You wake without purpose, drift through your day, and collapse exhausted, having accomplished little of true significance. You scroll when you should be working, eat junk when you should be nourishing, and procrastinate on the very tasks that would move you forward. You promise yourself tomorrow, but tomorrow becomes another repetition of today's undisciplined choices. You find it impossible to stick to a regimen, whether it's a fitness plan, a learning schedule, or a simple commitment to daily deep work. This inconsistency is not merely inconvenient, it is a direct assault on your mental fortitude. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you erode your self-trust, weakening the very foundation of your will. This happens when you check your phone first thing in the morning instead of your planned meditation, or skip the gym for just 1 more episode, or choose the easy takeout meal instead of cooking healthy. Churchill's life was a testament to the power of relentless discipline. He maintained an extraordinary daily routine, even amidst the chaos of war. He rose early, dictated correspondence from bed, conducted meetings, painted, wrote, read, and maintained a rigorous schedule of sleep and work. He often worked late into the night, fueled by a fierce determination. His famed black dog of depression was a constant adversary, but he fought it not with surrender, but with a relentless schedule, with activity, with the discipline of his work. He knew that idleness was a breeding ground for despair. He disciplined his mind through constant learning, his body through regular activity. Though sometimes eccentric, like bricklaying, and his will through an unyielding commitment to his duties. When he faced the supreme test of war, his body and mind were not broken by the immense pressure. because they had been hardened by decades of personal discipline. He did not wait for inspiration. He commanded it through sheer force of habit. His daily resolve was the bedrock of his national leadership. The practical application for you is undeniable. You must become a master of your daily routine, not its victim. Identify the 3 non-negotiable actions that move you closer to your vision of an unbreakable mind. Perhaps it's reading for 30 minutes, exercising for an hour, or dedicating 2 hours to deep, focused work without distraction. Schedule these actions as if they are appointments with the most important person in your life, yourself. Then, defend them with the ferocity of a lion. When the urge to deviate arises, when comfort calls, when distraction beckons, meet it with a firm no. This is not about deprivation, it is about self-governance. Begin each day with a clear intention and a commitment to action, rather than letting external forces dictate your energy and focus. Implement a first things first rule. Tackle your most important, most challenging task early, before the day's inevitable demands dilute your will. This builds momentum and a sense of accomplishment. Develop a ritual for focused work, a consistent environment, and time that signals to your mind it is time for serious effort. Discipline is not a punishment, it is the pathway to true freedom. The man who lacks discipline is a prisoner to his impulses, a ship without a rudder, tossed about by every whim and external pressure. His life will be a patchwork of unfulfilled promises, missed opportunities, and growing self-contempt. He will never achieve true mastery over himself, let alone his environment. He will look back on a life of constant beginnings and frustrated endings. The reward for embracing the warrior's discipline, however, is profound. You will become a force of nature capable of consistent, high-level output. You will develop an iron will that bends to no external force. Your self-trust will soar, and with it, your confidence. You will gain truth, command over your mind and your life, shaping your destiny rather than being shaped by it. You will not only achieve your goals, you will become the person capable of achieving them. Discipline is not a destination. It is the path itself. Your habits define your destiny. The battlefield of the mind is won daily. Build your discipline, your freedom. True power does not shout, it merely exists. You crave attention, validation, and the applause of the crowd. You spend your energy trying to impress, to be liked, to fit in. You carefully craft your online persona, seeking superficial approval from strangers. You speak loudly to compensate for inner doubts. You constantly explain yourselves, justify your actions, and seek consensus before making a move. This is a desperate attempt to fill an internal void with external noise. This pursuit of outward validation drains your reserves and leaves you fundamentally weak. It makes you a slave to public opinion, unable to stand firm when the tides turn. You become the man who talks more than he acts, whose words are hollow because they are not backed by an iron will. This happens when you obsess over social media metrics, or when you feel compelled to explain your decisions to every casual acquaintance, or when you constantly seek agreement in meetings rather than stating your conviction. Churchill understood that true leadership, true dominance, was forged in silence and demonstrated through unwavering action, not through seeking popularity. He did not chase public opinion, he shaped it, often after long periods of fierce opposition. When he became Prime Minister in 1940, Britain was facing annihilation, yet he did not tour the country seeking adulation. He went to work. He communicated with clarity and bluntness, but his power came not from his words alone. but from the fact that those words were the unvarnished truth backed by a monumental, visible effort. He would spend hours in the war room, making critical decisions, poring over maps, communicating with commanders. He did not need the cheers of the crowd to confirm. His path, his actions were his testament. His presence alone, his bulldog stance, his cigar, his unwavering gaze, these projected an authority that transcended mere popularity. He cultivated a quiet ferocity, an internal certainty that made others feel safe and resolute in his presence, even as the bombs fell. He famously said, "Success is not final, failure is not fatally, it is the courage to continue that counts." This courage was not external bravado, it was an internal furnace that burned silently. Stop seeking the spotlight. Stop explaining yourself to those who do not matter, or even to those who do. Cultivate an inner stillness, a calm resolve that emanates from certainty, not from ego. This is not about being aloof, it is about being self-contained. Begin to act with quiet conviction. When you make a decision, make it firmly, based on principle and careful thought, then execute it without needing to justify it to every detractor. When you are criticized, listen, but do not react defensively or seek immediate vindication. Let your results speak for themselves. Practice the power of silence in conversations. Allow others to fill the void, observe, and speak only when your words add genuine value or conviction. Develop a horn, word answer. Mentality for trivial matters direct, clear and unburdened by unnecessary elaboration. Your actions should be your loudest declaration, not your words. Learn to endure the discomfort of being misunderstood or unpopular for a time. Your worth is not determined by the approval of others, but by the integrity of your actions and the strength of your character. Engage in deliberate solitude, carving out time where you are alone with your thoughts, unburdened by external stimulation. This allows for deeper reflection and the cultivation of inner peace. Your strength is built in silence, not on social media. The man who constantly seeks external validation becomes an empty vessel, easily manipulated, always chasing the fleeting approval of others. His life is a performance, not an authentic existence, and he will never know true self-respect. His voice lacks authority because it echoes the crowd rather than leading it. He will be perceived as weak, even if he speaks loudly, for his power is derived, not inherent. The reward for cultivating silent dominance, however, is a profound and unshakable inner authority. You will command respect not by demanding it, but by radiating it. Your presence will be felt before you speak, and your words, when uttered, will carry weight. You will become a rock in a stormy sea, a source of quiet strength that others look to, not because you seek their gaze, but because you embody conviction. Your decisions will be firm, your actions decisive, and your influence will extend far beyond your immediate sphere, for true power is magnetic. You don't need their approval. You need your own respect. Silent dominance is a shield against chaos. What will remain of you when the fleeting trends of this age have faded into dust? You live for the immediate, for the passing moment, for the next trend, the next temporary satisfaction. You accumulate possessions, chase experiences, and seek fleeting pleasures, but you neglect the enduring edifice of your character. You rarely consider the long game, the impact of your life beyond your immediate circle or beyond your own lifetime. You fear the end, yet you do not build a legacy. Your days are filled with noise and distraction, with little time for reflection on purpose or permanence. You are building nothing that will outlast your own breath, nothing that will serve as a beacon for those who follow. This narrow focus on the ephemeral leaves you feeling unfulfilled, adrift, and ultimately without true meaning. You worry about today's headlines, but not tomorrow's history. You consume rather than create. You react rather than define. This happens when you prioritize instant gratification over long-term investment, or when you chase short-term trends instead of developing timeless skills, or when you spend your life accumulating wealth without a larger purpose or contribution in mind. Churchill was a man who lived with the full weight of history on his shoulders, both as a student and as an actor. He wrote volumes on the First World War and his ancestor Marlborough, not just as an intellectual exercise, but to understand the patterns of leadership, the nature of conflict, and the enduring principles of human endeavor. He knew that his actions, particularly during the Second World War, would be etched into the annals of time. He didn't just fight to win the war. He fought to preserve civilization, to protect liberty, to defend a legacy. His speeches were not just for the moment, they were for eternity, crafted with an understanding that they would echo through generations. He accepted the monumental burden of leadership, the criticism, the sleepless nights, the potential for failure, because he understood the stakes. He was building not just victory, but a moral foundation, a testament to courage that would inspire future generations. His legacy was not merely the defeat of Nazism, but the enduring spirit of defiance and resilience he instilled in his nation and the free world. He lived not for comfort, but for consequence. He knew that the only true measure of a life was its lasting impact, its contribution to something greater than oneself. You must begin to live an eye on your own legacy. Ask yourself, what do I want to be remembered for? What enduring value do I want to leave behind? This is not about arrogance, it is about purpose. Shift your focus from mere accumulation to creation, from consumption to contribution. What wisdom can you distill and pass on? What problem can you solve that will benefit not just yourself, but your community, your industry, or even future generations? Start building something that will outlast you, whether it's a body of work, a thriving business that creates lasting value, a family built on strong principles, or a personal philosophy that guides others. Cultivate habits that build not just immediate success, but lasting character. Think like a historian, not a fleeting celebrity. When making significant decisions, consider the long-term ramifications, not just the immediate gratification or convenience. Will this action, this choice, contribute to the person you aspire to be, the legacy you wish to leave? Or will it merely serve a temporary impulse? Embrace the difficult, the unglamorous work. The years of sustained effort that are required to build anything of true and lasting value. Start writing your own history, not just living it. This means investing in skills that compound, building relationships that endure, and taking on challenges that have ripple effects far beyond your immediate gain. Your legacy is not something you leave when you die. It is something you build every single day. The man who lives without a sense of legacy, without an eye on the long game, remains a prisoner of the present, constantly reacting, never truly creating. His life, though perhaps filled with fleeting pleasures, will ultimately feel hollow, a series of unconnected moments without overarching meaning. He will leave behind no lasting mark, no source of inspiration, no enduring contribution. His strength, if he ever cultivated any, will fade with his breath. Unremembered and unshared, he will reach the end of his days with the gnawing realization that he lived only for himself, and that was not enough. The reward, however, for embracing the legacy of strength is a life imbued with profound purpose and meaning. You will become a beacon, a source of inspiration and guidance for others. Your actions will echo through time. Your wisdom will be passed down, and your influence will transcend your physical presence. You will find true fulfillment not in what you acquire, but in what you build, what you contribute, and the indelible mark you leave on the world. You will not fear the end, for you will know that your strength, your principles, and your contributions live on. You will become part of the enduring fabric of human progress. Your life will be a monument to unwavering resolve, a testament to the power of an unbreakable mind. Your life is your message to the future. Build a monument, not a sandcastle. The true measure of a man is not what he gains, but what he leaves. This is your moment. Act now.